So anyone who's seen any footage from NAMM this year might have seen that Ernie are releasing some new strings for 2020. So recently there's been an awful lot of videos on YouTube where players and YouTubers have been comparing the sonic qualities between different gauges of strings. And I think up until fairly recently the general consensus has been that thinner strings offer a thin or weaker tone and thick strings would offer a superior, thicker tone. And I think what a lot of these videos have shown that each have to place. Thinner strings offer more clarity, produced by a lack of harmonic overtones that a thicker string would offer. And obviously sometimes this is desirable, sometimes it's less desirable, particularly in a recording scenario where you've got to balance things in the mix. What I want to talk about in this video is more how you would take a whole host of string gauges and a whole host of guitars, tuning, scale length, things that influence the tension on a string, and how you could create a set of guitars and a set of scenarios where you can play in a way that you would feel comfortable and also consistently across these different scenarios. So for reference, my standard gauge that I would use in standard tuning would be 10 to 46s, so the regular Slinkies. With that in mind, if you play 9s or if you play 11s or 12s or whatever it might be, if you play 9s, if you subtract a gauge from what I'm talking about, and vice versa 11s or 10s, if you add on 1 or 2 gauges, whatever your gauge might be, then it'll be relative to how you would play guitar and how it feels for you to play. So the first new set that I want to talk about are these, which are the skinny top, beefy bottoms. So these are 10 to 54. So the top 3 strings are identical to the regular set that I was just showing. And then we've got a 32, a 44 and a 54 on the bottom. Now for me, if I wanted these to feel like the regular Slinkies, I would probably use these on a guitar that I had in drop D. Maybe even lower, maybe like drop B. I've never played in drop A, but I might try it with these strings. It'd be a feel thing once I string it up, but because of that thicker bottom string, or thicker bottom 3 strings, they would stand up to that lower tuning a bit better, they'd hold the tuning stability. Similarly, if you play a lot of aggressive music, say like rock or punk or something like that, where there's a lot of aggressive right hand picking, a thicker string might have better tuning stability than a thinner string would. So say you do play rock or metal or something like that, and you're doing your rhythm part and then you want to jump to a solo, but you don't want to have to play really thick strings on your top 3 to play your solo. These might be an ideal set because they let you do the intricate lead work on the higher strings, but also you can get the kind of chug, the gent as I believe it's called, on the lower strings. So it's the skinny top, beefy bottoms. Next up we have got turbo Slinkies. So these are 9.5 to 46. So this is kind of the flip side of it now. So we've got a thinner top 3 and the same bottom 3 as the regular Slinkies. So for these I might use possibly on a longer scale length guitar. So I mentioned this in the other video I did, but the 2 main influencing factors on string tension are scale length. So Les Pauls have a shorter scale length, they're 24 3/4, and like a Strat or a Tele is 25.5. So the longer the scale length, like the Strat or Tele, would provide more string tension, the shorter scale length provides less. So for these, I might string them on something like a Strat or a Tele where the scale length is the longest it can be on the standard electric guitar models, I guess, or the classic models, to provide that extra bit of resistance than you would maybe that you would experience on like a PRS, which is 25, or the shorter scale length Les Paul. So that's the turbo Slinky. So probably for longer scale length, maybe even for tuning up. If I was tuning up to F standard, I could use them. So now I've got the Mondo Slinkies. So these are 10.5 to 52. So these are half a gauge thicker than the regular Slinkies I would use. And we've also got quite a thick bottom on there actually. 52 it's 46 on the regular Slinkies, so 52 is quite a bit heavier than that. Now the first use I thought for these when I saw them was I'd probably try these in open G. Reason being, open G, for anyone who's not familiar, you would take your E and A strings and tune them down to D and G, and then your top E string you would tune down to a D string also. So those 3 strings have all been taken down by a tone, which is going to quite significantly alter the string tension on them. But because 42 and 52 are quite a bit bigger than what would be on the regular Slinky set, they would handle that E and A string down to D and G quite well, as would the 10.5. I think that would recreate quite a similar feel to a standard tuned regular set. So for me, I would definitely use these in open G tuning. I might also use them on a shorter scale length guitar like a Les Paul, again to recreate that feeling of regular Slinkies on like a PRS, which is what I'm playing most at the moment. So last up, I've got these, which are the Mighty Slinkies. So these are 8.5 to 40. So these are quite a bit thinner than what I would normally use, but these would be ideal if you want to tune a guitar up to half step and recreate the feel of tens. So there was a band I used to play that had a country bluesy kind of song with a lot of open string licks in that was in E, and we ended up bringing it up to F, so it meant I was using a capo. But then I started tuning up to F on that because it means, first off, I don't have to bring a capo to a gig, or I might have to bring it for something else, but it means I don't have to use a capo on that song, because if you're doing open string things and you accidentally catch the capo, you could knock your tuning out. So it's just a bit more reliable tuning, I guess, if I've tuned up by half step. So that's why I preferred to do that. So for me, tuning these up half step would recreate the feel of tens, and that would be how I would use the Mighty Slinkies. So these are our new string gauges. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you for checking out the video. If you did enjoy it, please do click like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.